Good evening. The time is now 7 p.m. on this fine Tuesday, and I am attorney Judith DeLuce Montgomery. And today I have my immigration paralegal here, Vanessa Cordero. Hi, Vanessa. Thanks for
Hi,
joining us.
thank you.
So, Vanessa will be translating today because the topic that we are discussing is very, very important. And I want as many people as possible to get this information. Did you want to translate that, Vanessa?
Sí. Hola, buenas noches. Yo soy Vanessa Cordero y estoy traduciendo aquí a la abogada Montgomery esta noche y estaremos hablando del DACA. ¿Qué es exactamente el DACA?
Yes. And so before we get started on that, I just wanted to kind of shed light to some of the current events that are going on in America right now, which are absolutely heartbreaking. And so I want to address those things. There was a gentleman in New York that was at Central Park, and he was or is a bird watcher. And he noticed that a lady had a dog off the leash. So he asked her to please put the dog on the leash. And because of that, she threatened to call the police on this black man to have him arrested. As we know about some of the things that is going on in the United States right now, for a white woman to falsely contact the police against a black man who is doing absolutely nothing is unthinkable. And so our hope is that here that justice will be served and that she will be charged for a false police report in the midst of COVID-19. The resources that are needed on day-to-day basis have been affected by people making false reports to the police on black people. And so I wanted to bring that and shed light to what's going on. In addition to that, in Minneapolis, Minnesota, a cop arrested a black man, put his knees on the gentleman's neck. The gentleman continued to scream that he could not breathe, and the police refused to remove his knee from the man's neck, and the man has passed away. And our hope again is that justice will be served in that case as well, because these actions against black people are unacceptable. And without further ado, let's get started. Hi, Nat King 5. Thank you for joining us on Instagram. The topic today is DACA. And so I have my immigration paralegal here who will be translating for us. So let's get started, Vanessa.
Yes.
So June is a very big month. And I don't think that people know just how big of a month it is because the Supreme Court is going to be releasing a decision very, very soon on DACA. And so we need to be on alert about that upcoming decision.
So, la abogada quiere empezar hoy diciendo que el mes de junio es un mes muy importante para los recipientes que tienen DACA, ya que la Corte Suprema estará dando una decisión en qué pasará con el DACA.
For you guys who don't know, DACA means Deferred Action for Childhood Arrival.
Para las personas que no saben qué es DACA, es el programa de acción diferida para llegados en la infancia.
This is an executive order that was mandated by President Barack Obama in 2012.
Esta DACA entró por el presidente Barack Obama en el 2012.
And it allowed some undocumented immigrants who have been in the United States as children to apply for protection from deportation.
Y permitió que algunos inmigrantes indocumentados que habían sido traídos a los Estados Unidos cuando eran niños solicitaran protección contra la deportación.
Well, since the Trump administration announced in September of 2017 that it was ending DACA, several lawsuits have been filed.
Desde que la administración de Trump anunció el 5 de septiembre del 2017 que estaba finalizando la acción diferida, Para los llegados de la infancia se presentaron varias demandas contra la administración por terminar ilegalmente el DACA.
So, and thank God for those several lawsuits because they are indicating that the termination of DACA would be unlawful.
Y gracias a esas demandas resultaron que las medidas cautelarias emitidas por los tribunales del Distrito de los Estados Unidos.
So, because of that, there are currently 3 nationwide injunctions in place in California, New York, and the District of Columbia.
Los mandatos emitidos por los tribunales del Distrito del Estados Unidos para el Distrito del Norte de California, el Distrito del Este de Nueva York.
And so, because of those injunctions, this has allowed people who previously had DACA to continue to renew their deferred action.
DACA iniciales no serán aceptadas por el momento, serán rechazadas por inmigración.
So, here is the issue. When this announcement was made and these lawsuits have been filed, they have made their way up to the U.S. Supreme Court.
Los mandatos emitidos por los tribunales del Distrito de Estados Unidos llegaron hasta la Corte Suprema y serán escuchados.
And so, because of that, the Supreme Court will be releasing a decision, if you can believe it, in a couple of weeks on whether they are going to allow the Trump administration to end DACA once and for all.
Y por esas mismas casualidades, la ley que fueron emitidas contra el DACA, finalmente en unas semanas tomarán una decisión.
So the good thing we can say is that when the Supreme Court made the decision to hear the legal challenges of this lawsuit and ending DACA, they did not stay the lower court's injunction. So they are still in place.
Inmigración no está procesando aplicaciones de libertad, condición anticipadas por el momento. Si optas por salir del país, probablemente no podrás entrar a los Estados Unidos.
So that means that if you are a DACA recipient currently, you have or previously have had DACA, then you can continue to submit your applications for renewal.
Si tienes DACA actualmente y estás expuesto a aspirar antes del marzo del 2021, debes reaplicar para renovar lo más pronto posible.
What I can share with you guys, I always like to share this story. I came to the United States at the age of 5 from Freeport, Bahamas.
La abogada quiere compartir que ella, porque ella siempre le gusta compartir historias, que ella llegó a Estados Unidos desde que tenía 5 años desde Freeport.
Mm-hmm. So, and when I came here, I guess you would consider me also a dreamer because I did not have status in the United States when I came from Bahamas.
So, la abogada también se considera una soñadora también porque cuando llegó no tenía documentos desde que llegó de las Bahamas.
So my parents obviously went through the immigration process. My parents are of Haitian descent, and so they went through the immigration process, and that's how I obtained status here in the United States when I was a child.
Los papás de la abogada fueron sometidos por los procesos inmigratorios, así es como ella tiene un estatus en este país.
So you could say that I too understand the plight of dreamers here in the United States, as I feel that I was in that boat at one time. And so I take it very seriously about what is going on with the current DACA recipients in the United States.
La abogada se toma mucho en cuenta y también se siente que estuvo en el mismo bote alguna vez por todo lo que está pasando con el DACA, ya que sus padres también son de raza haitiana y entiende perfectamente todo lo que está pasando en este momento con el DACA.
So with that being said, currently, if your DACA is up for renewal, what I want to say is that this is the time to go ahead and renew it as quickly as you can. From my understanding, that they are They are set to expire. All of them are set to expire March 2021.
La abogada quiere decir que si tu permiso de trabajo está a punto de expirar por ahí antes de marzo del 2021, su consejo de ella es que lo vuelvas a reaplicar tu aplicación.
Hi, Tani _ Shamil. Thank you so much for joining us. We are talking about DACA today. And if you do not know what that is the Deferred Action for Childhood Arrivals Program. A decision is scheduled in a few weeks from the U.S. Supreme Court that will determine if they will allow the Trump administration to end the DACA program. And so this is a timely live session, because the hope is that I will share with you guys, if it does come to an end, what do dreamers need to know and what do they need to do? And so that is what we're talking about here today. And I also have my immigration paralegal translating, so we can make sure that everyone is able to get the information that is needed.
La abogada quiere decir de nuevo que estamos hablando sobre el tema del DACA. Ella estará hablando de qué es el DACA, qué pasará para los que tienen temporalmente el programa, que es la acción diferida para los llegados en la infancia, que permitió que algunos inmigrantes indocumentados que habían sido traídos a Estados Unidos cuando eran niños solicitaran protección contra la deportación.
So if you do not know, there are no initial DACA applications that are being accepted at this time. They will be rejected by USCIS.
La abogada también quiere decir que por el momento inmigración no está aceptando nuevas aplicaciones y si las sometes serán rechazadas.
So what that means is that if you have never applied for DACA, and even if you qualify for DACA, you cannot submit an application at this time.
Por el momento, la abogada dice que si sometes una nueva aplicación o quieres someterla, y si la sometes, obviamente que serán rechazadas por inmigración.
There was a time where DACA recipients could travel out of the country. At this time, I advise that nobody, if you are a dreamer and you have a DACA petition, that you travel outside of the United States, because you will be placed into removal proceedings and you may not be able to return to the United States at this time.
La abogada comenta que anteriormente se podría aplicar para poder salir del país con un permiso. Por el momento no es recomendable. Ella recomienda no salir del país y si lo pides, probablemente no podrás regresar al país y serás puesto en orden de deportación.
Okay, so be advised that all the information provided on DACA applications, this is very big news, and this is important that people are aware of this, but for most everyone who has DACA status at this time, you have had to submit a DACA application. That DACA application has provided your home address, where you work, your parents, your spouse, your children. It has essentially provided all of your information to USCIS. And because of that, ICE now has this information, and ICE is Immigration, Customs, and Enforcement.
Si tienes DACA, perdón, tenga en cuenta que toda la información dada en DACA de aplicaciones está siendo compartida por la aduana de inmigración inmigración, y toda la información que ellos tengan, incluso como dirección, todo tipo de información, ellos tienen su información.
Yeah, so that's something that people need to be aware of, because obviously with this information, ICE can begin enforcing deportation proceedings immediately upon the Supreme Court saying DACA has come to an end. We just want to make you guys aware of that.
Si la Corte Suprema decide terminar el programa del DACA, es muy importante que ustedes sepan que inmigración tiene todo tipo de información y probablemente esté procesando órdenes de deportación.
So here's the question. So now what happens if DACA ends?
Entonces ahora viene la pregunta más grande. ¿Qué pasa si se termina el DACA?
So DACA provides a 2-year period of work authorization and protection from deportation.
El DACA promueve trabajo de permiso de 2 años y protección de deportación.
So if they prohibit any renewal of applications, that would mean that DACA recipients will lose the protection from deportation, and also they will lose their work authorization.
Una prohibición de renovar aplicaciones de recipientes del DACA podría perder estas protecciones como de orden de deportación y el permiso de trabajo de 2 años.
In addition to that, most driver's licenses are tied to the expiration of the DACA petition, which means that if there is no DACA protection, then they will also lose their driving privileges.
En adición a todo esto, también se perderían licencias de conducir, perdiendo la orden de que sí podrían ser deportados y mucho más que se le atiende al programa del DACA a no poder renovarlo y podría ser deportado en algún momento.
So the other opportunities that DACA also gave is that folks could attend higher education and obtain financial assistance while they were getting their education.
Otra de las oportunidades del DACA es de que podrías recibir fondos económicos, tener una mejor educación.
So at this time, they would also lose those privileges as well.
En este momento, si fuera a terminarse, también esos programas serían terminados con el DACA.
And so obviously this sounds like very bad news.
Entonces, esto
there's hope.
Malas noticias y sin
So,
esperanza.
I'm sorry, Vanessa, I cut you off. Were you done or were you still going?
Y sin esperanzas.
Okay. All right. So the belief is that obviously we have close to 1 million individuals in the United States that are protected by DACA.
Actualmente tenemos muchos recipientes que tienen el programa del DACA.
And so 89% of DACA recipients are employed as of today.
Actualmente en la economía de Estados Unidos, al menos 89% están empleados teniendo el programa del DACA.
So what that means is that would have a very devastating effect on the U.S. economy if more than 1 million folks lost the ability to work, to go to school, to drive. All of this would have a negative impact on the U.S. economy. And the thing is, the U.S. economy is already struggling with over 40 million people that are unemployed today because of COVID-19.
¿Qué pasaría que si sí cancelaran el DACA? Esto quiere decir que sí impactaría la economía de Estados Unidos y afectaría obviamente a las personas no tener un permiso de trabajo, no poder tener una mejor educación y obviamente con todo lo que está pasando con la epidemia les afectaría tanto no tener trabajadores por el momento.
And then just because the DACA program comes to an end, that does not mean all hope is gone for dreamers.
So, si la DACA terminara, eso no quiere decir que los sueños de los soñadores sean terminados.
And that is because the issue and the reason that President Barack Obama came up with DACA in 2012 is because Congress was having such a difficulty coming to some sort of agreement on the DACA recipients.
Sí, el presidente Barack Obama en el 2012 decidió poner el DACA fue obviamente porque en la corte no podían tener un acuerdo acerca de todo el tipo de inmigración que tenemos en este país.
So the hope is that Congress will now be able to take action and come up with a plan to provide some sort of pathway to citizenship for dreamers.
La meta, esperemos que sea del Congreso, de que los recipientes que tienen DACA puedan llegar a la ciudadanía por medio de este programa.
At this time, we are in an election year, so the Trump administration, it really would not look good for them to terminate DACA and begin deportation proceedings against dreamers.
Estamos en órdenes de votos del presidente Trump, so obviamente que no se vería bien si el presidente termina el programa del DACA.
We don't know what he's going to do, but our hope is that he understands that this may not be the time that he wants to take action against dreamers in America.
Esperemos que esta no sea su decisión y que tome una mejor decisión y decida no terminar con el DACA.
And that's what I mean, that all hope is not lost.
Y con eso quiero decir que no todas las esperanzas están perdidas.
So, in order for ICE to begin deportation proceedings, they have to receive very clear guidance from the Department of Homeland Security.
Para que las órdenes de deportaciones se pongan actuales, tienen que recibir órdenes de la Corte Suprema e Inmigración.
So that means that if the Department of Homeland Security says that no former DACA recipients can be pursued for removal or express removal, then ICE cannot take any action.
Si no hay ninguna orden de deportaciones, nadie tiene que tener que sea terminado con la orden de deportación si no hay ninguna orden. Por el momento no hay ninguna orden.
Okay, so let's talk about what other options do you have during this time.
Entonces, hablemos cuáles serán las otras opciones que tendrías por el momento.
This is the time that you meet with an immigration attorney. This is the time right now.
Este sería el buen momento para que tú tengas una cita con un abogado de inmigración.
So let's talk about some options that you have. Number one, family-based green card.
La opción número 1 sería la familia basados con su tarjeta verde.
So if you are a DACA recipient and you have an immediate relative that is a U.S. citizen and they are eligible for sponsorship from that immediate relative, then that means that they can show that they have the ability to financially support you and that they are an immediate relative. Then we can start working on a family-based green card. That means that you have a parent who is a U.S. citizen who can petition for you, or you as a DACA recipient, maybe you have children that are over the age of 21 who are U.S. citizens, or you are married to a U.S. citizen, then any one of those people can petition for you to get a green card today. So that means that you need to contact our office and see if you have any one of these people that can submit a petition for you today. And we have gotten approved green cards because of children that were over 21. We have been able to get approval for spouses, for parents. We have been able to get that approval. And so we know that it can be done. Now, obviously, you may not be eligible, right? So for recipients that have a qualifying relative, the process will be based on how they enter the United States. So the question then becomes, did you come here with inspection or without inspection? That's always the question. So if you came with inspection, we can adjust status here with you never having to leave the United States. If you came in without inspection, never left on advanced parole after you got your DACA status, then we can't help you. But once you got your DACA status and you use the parole advance to leave and come back into the United States, and when you entered, you should have received a stamp on your I-94 that says that you entered with inspection, then that would clear any entry without inspection, and we would then be able to move forward with that family-based green card petition.
So, para los recipientes que tienen DACA, que tienen algún familiar, obviamente ciudadano de Estados Unidos, puede ser tu papá, puede ser la mamá, puede ser esposo o hijos mayores de 21 años, te pueden pedir y puedes ajustar tu estatus en este país desde Estados Unidos sin necesidad de salir. Si tú que eres recipiente del DACA y saliste del país con un permiso que se llama el Advance Parole, tuviste una entrada legal al país, si tu padre, tu esposo te está pidiendo, puedes ajustar tu estatus desde Estados Unidos sin necesidad de salir. También si eres solamente el DACA, pero tienes esa estampa en tu pasaporte, que es la I-94, tú tienes una inspección legal en tu DACA y puedes recibir tu ayuda, perdón, tu estatus en este país desde Estados Unidos. Nosotros te podemos ayudar, nos puedes llamar a las oficinas para que te ayudemos con este programa del DACA, obviamente con familiares de Estados Unidos, ciudadanos.
Okay. And so I'd like to go a little bit deeper into the next one. The next one talks more about a marriage to a U.S. citizen. That's a potential pathway to a green card for undocumented immigrants, right? The thing about marriage to a U.S. citizen, obviously the United States does not want you to pay somebody to be in a false marriage. And so there are things that USCIS is looking for to prove that you are indeed in what's called a bona fide marriage that shows good faith, right? And so that marriage must be based in good faith. You must be able to persuade USCIS that the relationship is genuine. And so what you will need to do that is you will need to provide documentation. And that documentation is going to be, for example, joint filed taxes, jointly held credit cards and retirement accounts, photographs showing the two of you together as a couple, jointly held insurance cards, affidavits from family and friends who have witnessed the relationship grow and blossom, pictures from the wedding, if they attended. You're going to need to show proof of cohabitation. And you're also going to you also can provide birth certificates of children that you have together. That is going to make your petition very strong. There are additional things that we want to see you submit in addition to these, but these are some of the most important documentation that USCIS can use to consider if this is a true good faith marriage.
So, la abogada quiere platicar un poquito de las personas que tienen DACA y están casados con ciudadanos. Ella quiere explicar que totalmente que no es que le hayas pagado a alguien para que te hayas casado, sino tienes que probar que estás casado legalmente y por buen amor, que te casaste en buena fe para probarle a inmigración y te aprueben esta aplicación. La abogada quiere comentarle algunos de los documentos que piden cuando tú estás casados con un ciudadano, siendo que hicieron taxas juntos, pagaron tarjetas de crédito que estén bajo nombre de los dos, fotografías de ustedes dos juntos, aseguranzas que hayan tenido juntos también, cartas de amigos, familiares diciendo que ustedes están casados de buena fe, que el matrimonio es real, pruebas de que ustedes vivan juntos. También algunos de los documentos que piden son actas de nacimiento de los hijos que tienen juntos, y no nada más son estos documentos, ella menciona que hay muchos más, pero son algunos de los documentos que son importantes basados para un matrimonio legal y ajustar en este país.
The thing is, the DACA recipient must have entered the United States with a visa.
Los recipientes que tienen DACA también tienen que haber entrado con una visa a este país.
Without a valid entry, the recipient may be eligible for a waiver. Maybe.
Si el recipiente no tiene una entrada legal, puede ser elegible para tener su tarjeta verde mediante un perdón.
Okay. And the next option that you may have is asylum. I think that this is going to be a more difficult one to come by, but asylum is an option. So obviously, the asylum applicant must submit evidence to show that they have a well-founded fear of persecution in their home country. So to be granted asylum in the United States, you must prove that your fear of prosecution in your home country is based on 1, race, 2, nationality, 3, religion, 4, political opinion, and 5, membership into a social group.
La última opción sería aplicar para el asilo, que es un poco más difícil de que lo den, pero se puede someter, pero alguna de las opciones que tienes, como menciona ella, es el asilo. Para que te aprueben para el asilo, tienes que proveer información sobre que tienes miedo de regresar a tu país, que tienes miedo de la policía, que tienes miedo de muerte, para que tal vez te aprueben usando la aplicación del asilo.
Now, the reason it is difficult is because there is a 1-year deadline after entering the United States to apply for asylum.
Lo que la abogada dice que el miedo del asilo a que lo aprueben es que hay un año para que ellos lo aprueben cuando tú entraste al país.
Now, if you are under the age of 18, that requirement does not apply.
Si eres menor de 18 años, eso no califica para ti.
Okay, so that if you file the asylum within a year after turning 18, your asylum application won't be denied for late filing.
So, si tienes 18 y la sometiste después, tampoco te afecta a ti.
So in very limited circumstances, there is a possibility of being able to file beyond 1 year. But I'm going to tell you right now, gaining asylum in the United States is impossible to none in getting that. That I can tell you the approval in Atlanta, Georgia stands at 3%. So that lets you know how difficult it is to get asylum right now.
La abogada les quiere comentar que obtener el asilo en Estados Unidos, claro, en Georgia es del 3% y muy difícil a que lo aprueben.
All right. So there are some other methods to obtain legal status. And so they're a little less known. And so we're talking about the U visa, which is victims of crime who have suffered substantial physical or mental abuse, or waivers that may be available to help you qualify for certain work visas, or obviously VAWA, which is victims of abuse, whether you are male or female, and you were married to a U.S. citizen, you may have those options, right? So we can really get into that and talk about that if you want to schedule a consultation with my office to do so. But let's say none of these work, right? Let's say none of these, you don't qualify for any of these. You're not eligible for any of the ones that I have listed today, and even the ones that we could talk about, during a consultation. Well, if you are placed into a deportation proceeding, then we can talk about cancellation of removal. And so cancellation of removal has some requirements. You have to have been here at a minimum of 7 years. You have to show some sort of link to the community that you live in. That means you go to church, you go to work, you have a family that depends on you, that needs you here, that you are able to show significant extreme hardship to your family if you were sent back to your home country that you probably have never known. So we can really delve into that if that comes about. But what I want folks to do is the reason for this live today is to tell you that you need to start planning and preparing for if DACA comes to an end. We're not saying it's going to come to an end June 30th, but we will know something for sure, definitively by the end of June, depending on what the US Supreme Court says.
So, la abogada quiere comentarles de nuevo que hay muchas visas disponibles para cada persona. Está la U-Visa, está el VAWA para víctimas de crímenes que han sostenido en este país abuso mental. También les deja de decir que las U-Visas, la VAWA es para hombre y mujer, se puede aplicar, pero esa quiere decir que hay muchas visas disponibles, pero si en una dada ocasión que ninguna de estas visas te puede ayudar a ti y terminas en orden de deportación, también está la moción de cancelar la orden de deportación y te puede ayudar. Y claro, puedes hacer una consulta con nuestra oficina. Al final del video daremos nuestro número, pero eso no quiere decir que no haya ninguna opción en la que ella no te pueda ayudar y no quiere decir que tampoco para junio 30 del 2020 el DACA se haya terminado, pero claro que hay muchas opciones con las que nosotros te podemos ayudar.
So if you are a DACA recipient, it is time that you contact my office at 678-601-5580 and let's come up with a plan.
So, para los recipientes que tienen DACA, ella te quiere decir que tienes que hacer una consulta con nosotros al 678-601-5580.
So once again, guys, thank you so much for joining us on Instagram and Facebook. We thank you all the people who participated today and joined us. Thank you, Vanessa, for your time this evening after hours to share this information with people that really need to hear this. And so, again, my name is Attorney Judith DeLuce Montgomery of the Atlanta Family and Immigration Law Firm. And we look forward to hearing from you guys. Nous parlons Creole and habla Español. So again, you can reach us at 678-601-5580.
La abogada quiere decirle muchas gracias por ver el video acerca de la información del DACA y de nuevo, para los que tienen DACA, nos pueden llamar al 678-601-5580. Thank you so much for having me.
And we will see you guys here next Tuesday for a new topic. All right? Have a good one, guys, and be safe.
Be safe. Thank you.
Thank you.
How do you end it?